Welcome, both of you. Thank you so much for coming. Patrice Barnes, MPP from Ajax, and Jess Dixon, MPP from Kitchener South-Hespler. Thank you so much for coming today.
I'm mentioned Patrice Barnes, MPP for Ajax, and I'm just thrilled to be able to come in and visit this amazing program that you have. It's especially close to my heart. I know that when I first came to Canada, I lived in Jane and Finch. And then after I lived in Jane and Finch, I lived in Bredencourt. So from Downsview to Jungle. To Jungle. And so this, where you are is... I used to haunt these halls all the time, and so I'm very thrilled about the work that you're doing in regards to changing the direction of the youth, young people that have come in contact with the justice system. I think everybody has the opportunity and deserves second chances to rebuild life and really to take that opportunity. But I also want to say to your clientele and to your members, you have to make a conscious choice. It is easy, based on your environment, based on where you are, based on your family, to sort of take the easy route and get caught up in the things that really choke your life, right? Like, I came in Jane and Finch, I was in my teens, I could have been anywhere at this time. And so I consider it an honor, privilege to be able to serve as an MPP. To be elected, to actually serve also as the Deputy Speaker of the House of the Legislature. So I believe that everybody have the opportunity to make conscious choices. It's never always easy, and it's never always popular, the choices that you have to make, but it is important that you choose a path that takes you to life rather than death. I think also... for young people, you get sucked in by the life of money and easy money, and the lifestyle seems glamorous, but it's very short.
Very short.
If you look at some of these young rappers, Pop Smoke, and all of these guys, dead before you're 30, so it is a very short lifespan, and there's so much more. And when I look and see things on the media, I see young people, 14, 15, that are caught up in violence. And I think, wow, that could have been the president. That could have been somebody that discovered the cure for cancer. That could have been somebody that, took us to the moon once again. I know we only went once, but it could have been a second time. So it really makes me sad, the potential that we lose. And some of the names of these young people that, you hear, somebody by the name of King or Justice or, these amazing names. And you think of the hope of a parent that named this child. Like, some of them are biblical names. Some of them are African names that have such great description. And I think it is, they could have walked in such great purpose. And so my heart hurts. My heart hurts oftentimes.
It's a lot of lost opportunity.
It is a lot of lost opportunity. And so that's why I'm so thrilled by the work that you do to be able to give people a second chance to really step into their purpose and do the things that they could do and what they could accomplish.
I'm Jess Dixon. I'm the MPP from Kitchener South-Hespler, and absolutely, seconding what Patrice had to say so very eloquently. I joke that in politics, I'm a good fighter and a bad soldier, which means I'm good at fighting for the things I believe in, and I'm not that great at following orders that I think are dumb. So I never had any intention in becoming a politician. People ask me, what was your track to get to politics? There was no track. I ended up here. I was a Crown attorney, Crown prosecutor for 10 years. So I did both CDSA, drug trafficking, as well as, range of criminal offenses in courts all across Ontario. And, I would say I had no problem being a zealous advocate for the cases that I felt, merited that. But as time went on, I started to get really, really frustrated with being part of a machine that I thought was just the dumbest machine I'd ever seen. I would be asked to deal with people, to find some sort of justice or rehabilitation for people that, in my opinion, had not been given the chances that they deserved so much earlier on. And, I come from, Patrice and I come from very different backgrounds. Like, I would say I'm an upper middle class suburban white girl. But I didn't have to learn things the hard way that so many other people did, and that the people that in my courts did. And oftentimes what I would see boiled down to, you're here because you didn't have that loving support to help guide you and help you make those good decisions without even realizing that you were making a decision. And so as I said, as time went on, I really sort of revolted against the system that I was part of. And I thought, why I don't want to see another government announcement about, just tough on crime that had nothing to do with looking at, well, how do we prevent it in the first place? How do we support, kids and their families so that they get to live a life, frankly, that looked more like mine? I want kids and youth to feel like, look, this world is limitless. And like Patrice was saying, I met a lot of young men who were brought into gangs. Even working in suburban areas, I would have a lot of 15, 16-year-old young men, boys, who had been sent down here. I remember in one case we had what we called a drug dealing for dummies list in the car that talked about, not too dark a tint, not too loud music, burn our phone. I thought, God, this is not what I was here for, to put this kid in jail for 8 years when he's 15, Yeah. And so I just, I looked at the issues that I saw, and to get sort of technical, I looked at what the province is responsible and what the federal government is responsible for. And the province is responsible for education and healthcare and social services and a lot of policing and staffing our criminal courts and funding all that type of thing. And I thought, you have that feeling where you say to yourself, somebody ought to do something. Somebody ought to do something about this. And I looked around and I felt like, well, no one else in my position is standing. Ran into somebody in the grocery store, asked about politics, and a few months later, I was a candidate and I won my election, and barely even registered that it was happening until it happened. And so I guess what I want you to know is, there are people fighting for you in rooms that you are not in. There are people fighting for you that you would never believe are fighting for you. People that you would probably think are not allies, are not supporters. But you look up at Queen's Park on the hill there, and there are people in there that are fighting like tigers for you because we believe in you. We believe in what you can do. Like Patrice said, we believe that you have limitless potential, and we so desperately want you to have the opportunity to meet that potential.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's very important. I think we feel it's very important for you to be able to put that word out. Like you said, most of the times people don't actually see the people that are actually fighting for them. And I know that, just having you two here is such a special moment because, people are able to see, that it's various different people from different backgrounds that are out there that actually understand and have the experience to attempt to fix some of these issues. It's just not, faceless, bureaucrats or politicians. It's actually people that have experience that are tackling these issues behind closed doors, and most of the times the general public doesn't get to see that. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you for all you do.
And your incredible program here. Patrice and I, we see a lot of programs, and we believe that we're in the headquarters of one of the best.
Oh, thank you very much.
So
It's
much.
very kind of you.
Thank you.
Jess, you want to talk a little bit about the intimate partner violence piece that you are dealing with? I think that would be great.
Yeah. And, I think you can really see my background as both a prosecutor and an advocate of the underserved in that one. Violence against women, sexual violence. When I look at it, so some people have this idea that, people that are involved in domestic violence are, inherently bad people, for example. And I have presided in enough domestic violence courts to know that it is a much more complicated question than that. I met a lot of people who grew up seeing that was what was normal to them, or, people that had just never learned different ways to deal with having their feelings hurt, with being angry, with rage. I have a very bad temper. I do an okay job of sitting on it, but I've had a lot of people over the years giving me alternatives to that temper, But I have experienced that desire of just wanting to break something. I get it quite often at Queen's Park. I get very frustrated. But the difference is, I've had a lot of people throughout my life sort of coaching me to not do that. And so really what one of my main interests is how do we support people so this is not the life that you live, for full stop. And for both men and women, to me, a lot of that is I want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to see people that know how to handle conflict, because you're not going to go through life not being angry. You're not going to go through life not getting your feelings hurt. We all get our hearts broken, and it's not a fun thing to go through. No, for anybody, but there are ways that you can be more resilient and deal with that type of pain that are healthy for you and for everyone around you. And so, my committee is a big part of that is really drilling down on how can we help people that end up in these circumstances more? How can we prevent it from happening in the first place? But, former prosecutor coming out here, there's also a part of it that's like, if you are, committing it, if this is something that you are heavily involved in as a perpetrator, how do you see the consequences of it? And at that point, it's not even necessarily so much about your rehabilitation, but you've done something wrong. It's just not okay to raise your hands against another human, or to ignore that you don't have consent.
Absolutely.
And as I said, that's the former prosecutor in me that is a zealous advocate and is determined to see justice as well. So if I'm talking to victims out there or people that watch it happening to their moms or their sisters, just because I support the prevention does not mean I in any way am not coming for justice.
Absolutely.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, and we share those sentiments as well. While we are very big on giving people second chances, we have a responsibility to the public, and we feel if you've done the crime, you should do the time. Everyone should face the consequences of their actions, and it's lovely that you have those two perspectives because you're able to see it from both ends. And so, we share those values as well.
The important thing is being able to come back from it.
Absolutely.
Again, being a crown, unusual for people in my background, but it gives you a very relaxed attitude towards people with criminal records. You just are very accustomed to the idea that you can have a criminal record and be a good person. You can be somebody that made a lot of mistakes and worked hard and took responsibility and became a good person. And we see that all the time. So it is absolutely possible, but so much of it involves you got to take responsibility for what you did and take responsibility to be the one to fix it.
We do hear that politicians never get time off. What are your summer plans? If you don't mind sharing.
Oh, my goodness. a lot of events, a lot of this is a time when we're not in the legislature, because usually when we are downtown all the time. So for me, coming from my ride in downtown, it really takes up a lot, because you're not only in the legislature, but after you're finished at 6, 7 o'clock, there are oftentimes things that in events you got to do. And I know some people are like, well, you get to go to events, or you get to go to galas, but after about 2 or 3, it's work. So it's just throughout the summer, it gives us a time to be in our ride-ins, to really connect with our constituents, but also with our different portfolios, as mine is Associate Minister to the Minister of Labour, Immigration and Skills Development. It gets me out at the organizations such as yours to see what the work that's being done, and just sort of to see how we fund and how we impact people's lives, because, the Premier is very big on us getting out of the Queen's Park bubble and being able to connect with people outside of that. It is quite the bubble. The the perspective is quite different at Queen's Park. So to be able to get out and really talk to people and see the things that people are struggling with, their success, their failures, their barriers that we can really help with. And one of my passion is education. Education is really a big thing for me. I really think that it is the great equalizer, and sometimes. So I get to visit some of the schools and do some of that, because I really think the school system may not be perfect, but I think a lot of our kids are wasting the opportunity. And sometimes it's hard because you think about people that died trying to read, and and now we have kids that have the opportunity and not taking advantage of that. But so no, I don't have any holidays. Coming back to that, do you have any holidays?
I have no holidays planned. I went on vacation in 2018, and maybe one day I will get to go again. But no, I mean, sort of going off what Patrice said about this idea that you just go to parties. I can tell you that having a deep and abiding love for humanity and wanting to serve people does not make you an extrovert. I am by nature a hermit and an introvert, and my social battery runs down fairly quickly. So I mean, what I will be doing this summer, I spoke a little bit about this committee I'm on, and I know that sounds very sort of boring, like a committee. And I forget that I'm talking to people that don't know that I'm super excited about. They're like, "You're really excited to be on a committee?" Guys, so excited to be on a committee. I get to do stuff. So that's going to be happening basically all summer long. Like, I've got 50 hours of testimony already scheduled for July and August. So I'm going to be back here a lot. And I also find that even when I am, not at an event, I spend a lot of my time doing research and stuff as well, because becoming a politician gave me this feeling of, frankly, immense and crippling personal responsibility for a number of things that no one person could be personally responsible for. But we get this opportunity to be politicians, to have a platform, even though it's a little platform. And I very much have this internal pressure of, you're elected for 4 years. I plan to run again, but nothing is certain. And that idea of I can't afford to take my foot off the gas, because for some of the stuff I know that we work on, it's that I feel that if I'm not doing it, I don't know who will. From the area that I work in. So there's a lot of pressure there, and also. You can find me on Instagram, jess.l.dixon. It's Dixon. But I also, I enjoy just meeting people through social media, because nobody knows what a politician does. I didn't know what a politician did, and I know now that there's a lot of different ways that you can be a politician. Yes. I'm a PC, I'm a progressive conservative politician. As soon as you say the word, conservative, people have this really, specific idea of like what we are. Like, we're all, sort of old, stodgy white guys that golf, which is like patently untrue. But ultimately as well, I like getting out there and meeting people, because if you pay attention to politics, you'll see that we're in a pretty hostile environment. If you turn on the news, you aren't really going to see politicians supporting each other or being understanding. You're going to see politicians dragging each other down. And the zone of good decision making is usually somewhere in the middle between people's beliefs. And we are in a system that really, really thrives on driving us apart. And I know Patrice's experience, there's a lot of people out there that have never met me that they just hate me because, they've decided that they know what a politician is, what a conservative politician is, and just presupposed who I am and what I'm like. And it's such a damaging thing, because like we all, honestly guys, like you gotta get to the point that we're all human. We all have good points and bad points. I always tell people, if you're really passionate that you're right about something, like you are just so absolutely sure that you're right, my number one advice is go out and try to prove yourself wrong. because the worst that will happen if you prove yourself wrong is you will be a better educated person going forward that's not going to be supporting a stupid opinion. And the best thing that happens is if you don't prove yourself wrong, you actually become far better educated about your position. You will be able to argue it better. But as soon as you find out that everyone around you is sort of agreeing, challenge that, because that's really the type of people that we need, who when they're told something they think, all right, I hear you, but I'd like to sort of back that up with some evidence. So I also like, making sure that people know that it's like, being a politician doesn't mean you become a robot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just take out the humanity.
Yeah, it's actually really exciting to have you both here to hear these stories and to know that we're all working for the same cause, right? To make this a better province, to make it a better country, and especially a better community.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you both for what you do and allowing us to work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It takes a lot of courage, to become a politician. You risk a lot. I don't think many people understand that. And,
People are mean.
But, the reality is I have not met any politician that did not come into politics to make something better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That ran for a reason that propelled them to do because they wanted to change something. And it might not be, what everybody wants, but the concept of the lazy, fat, corrupt politicians is a really hard, and the things that people now look at you not as a person, but the lines that get crossed are really thing. And for families, like for politicians that have families that get their families caught up. You see people, now demonstrating in front of somebody's house and those sort of stuff. Like, there's a workplace, and if you want to demonstrate, then by all means. But doing that in front of somebody's home is taking it to the next step. You think about your families that are inside, people that have young kids, people with older parents, your neighbors. So sometimes I find that those lines are really getting blurred as we go along, that people sort of feel like because they elect you, they own you.
Absolutely.
And they have the right to say and do anything that they want. And so I think sometimes we do it to ourselves, because we ourselves, between the different parties, talk about each other pretty badly as well. So as leaders, I think we set a bad precedent for the public in general. But I have met very few politicians that went into it just to go into it. It's always a passion that they've had, something they want to change or do, that they go into it for. And so I think people sometimes have to think about that a little bit.
So if you were going to speak to a young lady out there who might be thinking of becoming a politician, any words of advice?
Develop a thick skin, because you do, and surround yourself with a support group, a core group of people that believe in you, that are real friends. Because what happens when you get in politics, you gain a lot of people, and it's not always because of who you are. It's sometimes based on your position or what you can do. And so if you're going to run, make sure you have that core support that can give you a reality check when you need it, but can also be the person that you can really lean into when you need support. And, be brave to challenge, and not discount the possibility that you can do it and you can do it well. Politics is, they say it's a blood sport a little bit, but never change it. I never thought I was going to be in politics. It wasn't something that I dreamt to be. But if you find a passion that is something that you want to do, then start putting in place those things. Watch your socials. What you put on your social media is going to be big. The company that you keep is another big thing, because unfortunately, when you start to run against somebody, and the whole point sometimes for the opposition is to rip you apart. So be careful of the things that you're doing and want to do, and be set in your conviction of what you want to be.
Yeah, and you to reiterate, with what Patrice said, you really do need a support person. Whether it's like a family or spouse. I'm single. I'll tell you also can't go on Hinge as a politician. That's challenging. People say go and meet people. Man, I meet people all the time, but I meet them as an MPP, which is not the best environment. So for me, it's like I have my own household is me, and I have a house, and this really does not leave a lot of time for just doing normal things to just keep your life on track. Mm-hmm. So I joke that I'm actually far more work to my mother now than I ever was as a child. Like she just has to really keep putting. I mean, God bless her. I don't know why she puts up with me, but you really do need that. But the other thing I would say is, and I don't know if I'd commit myself completely to this, but I'll say you shouldn't want to be a politician. Mm-hmm. You should want to be a change maker that chooses politics as an avenue to do it.
Yes, very good.
Because the worst politicians that I know are the ones that got into it to be a politician. You can be a politician for a long time. You can get to the point where anyone would say, yeah, you're a career politician, but that can't be what brought you there. There's got to be something that you want to fight for that motivates you to do this. Yeah. And the other thing I'll say is the last thing we need right now in politics are people that don't know how to be wrong. So you got to get comfortable with being wrong. It is not an easy thing to do, but it's something I take really, really seriously. So my own personal practice is when I think I'm right about something, and particularly when I have a really strong emotional response to that concept of being right, like where I feel this sort of almost like physical overwhelm of like just like frustration that I'm so right about something. I said it before, but the best thing that you can do is go and challenge yourself on those convictions that you have. And if you hear somebody else speaking and you disagree with them, and again, you have a very emotional response to disagreeing with them, go and try to find out why they might be right, because it is not going to be comfortable. The first time that you open yourself up very intentionally to the idea that you are wrong, particularly about things that you are very passionate about, that you have a lot of emotional connection to, it's an uncomfortable feeling. But it is the most valuable thing that you can do as a human, as a politician, and particularly as a change maker. And it's something that politicians are not given a lot of latitude for. So when in normal circumstances, when someone makes a mistake, admits their mistake, learns from it, and betters themselves, that's considered growth. In politics, it's considered weakness. Mm-hmm. And so we've created a situation, like a society where politicians are supposed to commit themselves, to one course of action, to one platform, and never deviate from it. We've made a thing. I'm a PC MPP. We've made a situation where if I go out there and I say that I agree with something the NDP says, that I'm, a traitor to my party and potentially a weak politician, which is really absurd when you think about it, that we would put ourselves up there. So don't get into politics to be a politician. You want to be a change maker, but you want to be an informed change maker. Like, if you never challenge yourself, honestly, it is very possible that because you probably are somebody with a lot of strength and a pretty dynamic personality, but it is honestly possible that you could do more harm than good by campaigning for something that isn't actually right. And as I said, the best thing that happens is you find out that you are right. Yeah. But the next time somebody tries to tell you you're wrong, you know all of their arguments, and you can just nail them to the ground with your rhetoric. So yeah, don't get into politics to be a politician, but do it because really getting into politics should feel like a sacrifice. It should feel like I'm going to go do this dumb job that pays less than my current job, that doesn't have a pension, where everyone's mean to me, and I'm going to do it anyway because I'm going to do it anyway because I care so much about this damn thing that I cannot let another day go by where I am not fighting for it. That's why you get into politics.